If you want the avoidant to come back, you have to stop chasing the version of them that left. That's the first thing. That's the thing nobody tells you when your chest is caving in at 3 in the morning and your phone is a small dark rectangle that has become the entire meaning of your life. Listen, you are not waiting for a person right now. You are waiting for a pattern to complete itself. And the pattern is older than you, older than them, older than the relationship you thought you were in. So let me walk you through it. Not to give you hope like a drug, but to give you understanding like a map. Because the moment you understand the terrain, you stop being a victim of it. You become the one holding the compass. Here's the truth. An avoidant in no contact goes through stages. Not because they're evil, not because they're a narcissist, not because they never loved you, but because their nervous system was built on a foundation that says closeness equals danger and distance equals safety. And when you stopped chasing, when you finally went quiet, you didn't just break contact, you broke the pattern. You broke the story they were telling themselves about who you were and who they were and what this was. And when you break the pattern, my friend, the meaning maker inside them has to start working overtime. Because here's what I know, we don't experience life. We experience the life we focus on. There's 1,000 things happening in that avoidance day right now, and most of them they'll never notice. But the moment your name disappears from their notifications, the moment the little dopamine drip of knowing you're still there gets cut off, their focus shifts. And where focus goes, energy flows. That's not spiritual talk, that's neurology. That's how the human machine works. So let me give you the 3 decisions every human being makes in every moment of their life. Because if you don't understand this, you'll misread every stage they go through. The first decision is what you focus on. The second decision is what it means. The third decision is what you do about it. Focus, meaning action. That's the Trinity. That's the engine. And in no contact, the avoidant is running that engine on you whether they want to or not. You've become a variable they can't delete. And every stage I'm about to describe is just their focus, their meaning, and their action colliding with a reality they didn't choose. Stage 1, relief. And I want you to see this clearly because this is the stage that destroys most people who go no contact. In the first few days, sometimes the first week or two, the avoidant feels light. They feel free. They feel like a weight has come off their shoulders. And you, sitting on the other end of the silence, feel like you're dying. You feel like they got the better end of the deal. You feel like they don't care, they never cared, they were faking the whole time. Now let me be honest with you, that's a distortion. That's a deletion. That's your brain filling in the story with the worst possible meaning, because pain demands a reason. But the reality is simpler and stranger. Their nervous system was in a state of chronic activation around you. Not because you were bad, but because closeness itself triggered a threat response wired in long before you ever met them. And when the source of activation goes quiet, the body exhales. That's not love ending, that's a wounded system catching its breath. But here's the thing, relief is not resolution. Relief is a chemical event. It has a shelf life, and that shelf life is shorter than you think. Stage 2, the reconstruction. Somewhere around week 2, week 3, the avoidant starts rewriting the story, and this is where the meaning maker in them gets loud. They start telling themselves you were too much, too emotional, too needy, too intense. They start collecting evidence for why the ending was inevitable, why they had no choice, why leaving was the mature, healthy, self-aware thing to do. You want to know why? Because if the story is that you were the problem, then they don't have to look at themselves. It's not cruelty, it's protection. It's not manipulation, it's survival. That's pattern C. And I want you to hold it in your hand for a moment. Because if you understand that reconstruction is a defense mechanism and not a verdict, you stop taking it personally. You stop drinking the poison they're brewing to keep themselves safe. Their story about you is not the truth about you. It's the truth about what they can tolerate feeling. Stage 3, the distraction sprint. This is where they get busy, real busy. They pour themselves into work. They pick up an old hobby. They go to the gym harder. They see friends they've been neglecting. Sometimes they date. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they post like they're having the best time of their life. And if you're watching, and my friend, I know you're watching, it feels like a knife between the ribs. But here's what I want you to see. Distraction is not healing. Distraction is a spinning propeller on a plane that has no fuel. It looks like motion. It looks like power. It looks like they're flying. But underneath, the tank is running dry. Because you cannot outrun a nervous system pattern by staying busy. You can only delay the moment it catches up with you. And it always catches up. Now let me say that again. It always catches up. Stage 4, the intrusion. This is the stage where you start showing up in their mind uninvited. A song plays, a smell hits them. They pass a restaurant, somebody laughs the way you laughed, and suddenly, in the middle of a Tuesday afternoon, you're there, not as a memory, as a presence. And their focus, which they've been so careful to point anywhere but you, snaps back. It's involuntary. It's the mind doing what the mind does when a meaningful attachment has been artificially severed. And this is where the reconstruction they built in stage 2 starts to crack. Because the story of you were too much doesn't hold up when the ghost of you is sitting across from them at dinner while they're alone. It's like, you ever try to hold a beach ball underwater? You can do it for a while. You can push down with both hands. But the deeper you push it, the more force it takes. And the second your attention wavers, it explodes back to the surface. That's what stage 4 is. That's the beach ball breaking through. Stage 5, the test. Now this is where the avoidant gets clever. Not consciously. They're not sitting in a war room drawing up plans. But their nervous system starts looking for a low-risk way to check if you still exist in the shape they remember. A viewed story. A like on an old post. A random ambiguous message, hey, I saw this and thought of you, with no follow-up, no substance, no accountability. Or maybe a mutual friend suddenly asking about you at a party where the avoidant just happens to be standing 3 feet away. Here's the truth. These are not invitations. These are probes. They're checking the temperature of the water without getting in. And this is where most people who've been holding the line for weeks blow the entire process up. Because you see one crumb and you convince yourself the feast is coming. You respond with your whole heart, and the avoidant, feeling the intensity of your response, feels their old nervous system alarm go off, and they retreat again. And now you're not just heartbroken, you're humiliated. So what do I mean by that? I mean, the test is a filter. It's not designed to bring you back. It's designed to confirm that they still have access to you on their terms. And if you fail that filter, if you respond like nothing happened, like you've been waiting by the phone, the pattern completes, and you're back at square one, except now you're weaker because you spent your dignity on a probe. Don't fail the test. Don't fail the test. Stage 6. And this is the one that breaks them. This is the stage the title of what we're talking about points at. And I want you to understand it not as revenge, not as karma, not as some cosmic ledger balancing itself. I want you to understand it as biology meeting time. Stage 6 is the collapse of the story. Somewhere around week 6, week 8, sometimes as late as month 3 or 4, depending on how deep the attachment was. The avoidant sits down alone one night, and every defense they've built goes quiet. The distraction is worn out, the reconstruction has cracks in it, the intrusions have become constant, and the test, if they ran one, either failed or made them feel worse. And in that quiet, the meaning maker inside them turns around and looks at itself. And what it sees is a person who ran from something real because they were afraid, and told themselves a story about why the running was noble. And the story stops working, just stops. This is the moment they realize what they had, not in a Hallmark card way, in a cellular way, in the way your body knows before your mouth does. And what breaks them in stage 6 is not that they miss you. It's that they finally, for the first time in the entire arc of this thing, have to sit with the version of themselves that let you go. And that version of themselves is unbearable. Because it's the version that confirmed every fear they've ever had about themselves. That they are the kind of person who cannot hold love when love is offered. That the pattern won. That they became the story their childhood wrote for them. And that, my friend, is a moment of reckoning that no amount of distraction can outrun. Now, I want to tell you something personal, because I've watched this in 5 million people, but I've also lived a version of it in my own life. I began with anger. That was the fuel. Anger at circumstance, anger at absence, anger at people who should have shown up and didn't. And that fuel got me moving. But let me tell you, that fuel did not last. It burned hot, and then it burned out. And when it burned out, I had to figure out what was underneath it. And what was underneath it was a hunger to matter, a hunger to give back, a hunger to become somebody whose existence made the room warmer, not colder. And the moment I switched from the push of anger to the pull of purpose, everything changed. The push runs out. The pull is infinite. And the reason I'm telling you this is because the avoidant in stage 6 is standing at that exact intersection. They can either run again, grab the next distraction, the next relationship, the next city, the next reason, or they can sit still long enough to feel the pull of what they walked away from. And most of them, my friend, will run. Let me be honest with you. Most avoidants do not come back. And even the ones who do often come back the wrong way, testing, half committing, keeping one foot out the door. So we don't do no contact to get them back. We don't do it as a strategy to win a person. We do it because it is the only condition under which your nervous system can heal and their nervous system can face itself. Whatever they choose after stage 6 is their decision. Your job is not to be there for that decision. Your job is to be so far along in your own becoming that whether they come back or not, you are unrecognizable to the person who left. And I know I'm right about this. Now let me tell you what most people get wrong about the pain you're in right now. They tell you it's tragic. They tell you it's traumatic. They tell you you're broken. I don't think so. Here's what I know. If you suffered as a kid, and if you ended up attached to an avoidant, there's a very good chance some part of you did. You might still be carrying it. But I want you to meet who you are right now and look back at that kid, because that suffering has been a handbook of survival in disguise. The fact that you learned to read a room means you can read a person's silence like a book. The fact that you had to earn love means you know how to love with your whole body when it's finally safe. The fact that you were left to figure things out on your own means you have a self-sufficiency that most people spend a lifetime trying to build. What looks like your wound is also your instrument. What looks like the reason you fell for an unavailable person is also the reason you'll be extraordinary at loving an available one when they finally show up. It's not damage, it's data. It's not a curse, it's a curriculum. And I want you to sit with that for a second. Because the story you've been telling yourself, that you're too much, that you love too hard, that something is fundamentally wrong with you, that's a distortion, that's a deletion. That's a meaning your pain made up, because pain needs a reason and your reason was wrong. Let me say that again. Your reason was wrong. Here's what's actually going on. You focused on what you couldn't control. Them, their choices, their silence, their timing, and your energy went there. And you drained yourself. If you focus on what you can't control, your energy goes there. If you control what you focus on, you control your life. Both worlds exist. The external one, them, the avoidant, the outcome, you can only influence. The internal one, your focus, your meaning, your action, you can control absolutely. And the reason no contact works is not because it's a manipulation tactic. It works because it forces you, finally, to move your energy back inside the only jurisdiction you were ever meant to govern. So, here's your drill. And I want you to hear me carefully because this is non-negotiable. In the next 24 hours, before you go to sleep tonight, you're going to do one thing that takes less than 90 seconds. You're going to sit down, close your eyes, and you're going to say out loud, not in your head, 3 things. First, the name of one thing you focused on today that was outside your control. Second, the meaning you made of it. Third, one thing you can focus on tomorrow that is fully inside your control. That's it. That's the drill. 90 seconds. Every night for 30 nights. Why this drill? Because the avoidant is not your problem. Your focus is your problem. And the fastest way to reclaim a nervous system that has been tuned to another person's frequency for months or years is to consciously, deliberately, out loud, retune it. You're not doing an affirmation. You're doing a diagnostic. You're catching yourself in the act of giving your energy away and calling it back once a night. 90 seconds. That's the price of your life back. And what happens over 30 nights is not magic. It's compounding. It's Steph Curry taking 500 shots a day for 15 years. You think he became who he is on any single Tuesday? He didn't. He became who he is because the same small thing, done every day, past the point where anybody was watching, past the point where it felt worth it, past the point where it was interesting, quietly turned into 2 million shots and 3,600 makes and 10% of 1% of a percent of humans who could do what he does. You fool no one when you do the small thing every day. Not yourself, not your nervous system, not the pattern you're rewriting. Now here's the part I want to land carefully, because a lot of people at this point in a conversation like this want to know how to make the avoidant come back. And I'm not going to give you that, because it's the wrong question. The right question is, who do you want to be when this is over? Because here's what I've learned working with humans for 40 years. You can't lose what you deserve. And the corollary of that is you can't keep what you're not becoming. If they come back in stage 6, and some of them do, you don't want them coming back to the same person who was drowning. You want them coming back to somebody who's already been to the far shore, somebody who burned the boats, somebody who took the island. And if that person on that shore decides they want to let the avoidant into the country they built, that's their sovereign choice. But you cannot make that choice from the position of a beggar. You can only make it from the position of a sovereign. So we're not going to sit here and count the days until they message. That's the old pattern. That's the pull that isn't a pull. It's a push disguised as longing. What we're going to do instead is build a life that is so full, so meaningful, so aligned with who you actually are underneath the last several months of collapse, that when the phone does buzz or doesn't, the meaning of it barely registers. Because your focus has moved, and where focus goes, energy flows. And where energy flows, a life gets built. You're going to find something you care about more than you care about them. That's the unlock. It's not being positive, it's being intelligent. It's not virtue signaling. It's what you know inside your soul is true. Find something that requires you to become bigger. A project, a person you can serve, a discipline you've been ignoring, a version of your body you've been avoiding, a piece of work that scares you, and pour the energy that used to leak out of you through the phone into that. And what you'll notice, somewhere around day 40 or day 50, is that you haven't thought about them in 3 days, and then 5 days, and then you'll think about them and it won't hurt. It'll be like remembering a country you used to live in. Familiar, distant, no longer home. That's the moment you'll know you crossed the ocean. And I want to be clear with you because I don't want to sell you a fantasy. Some of you will get the message in stage 6. Some of you won't. Some of you will get it and realize you don't want to reply. Some of you will reply and find that the person on the other end has not done their work and is offering you the same recycled unavailability with a new coat of paint. Some of you will reply and find that they have done real work and there is actually something to build. All of those outcomes are livable. All of those outcomes are survivable. All of those outcomes end with you being a person who chose yourself when it was hardest to. That's the win, not the reunion, the becoming. Because here's the truth. The hero's journey doesn't end when the villain is defeated. It doesn't even end when the hero comes home. It ends when the hero brings back something the whole village needed. And what you're going to bring back from this, from the sleepless nights, from the checking of the phone, from the drafting of messages you didn't send, from the 90-second drill done alone in your bedroom for 30 nights in a row, is a self that knows, in its bones, what it's worth. And that self is going to change every relationship you touch for the rest of your life. Your friendships, your family, your work. The next person who tries to love you. Your future children, if of you have them. All of it, downstream of what you're deciding right now. So don't ask when they'll come back. Ask who you'll be when the question stops mattering. You listening to this, I want you to hear me one more time. You are not waiting. You are not stuck. You are not behind. You are in the middle of a stage of your own that nobody's put a name on yet, and it's the stage where a person walks out of a pattern that has been running their life since long before they had language for it. Stage 6 breaks them because they finally have to see what they gave up. But there's a stage 7, and stage 7 belongs to you. Stage 7 is the one where you no longer need the story to complete itself in their favor for your life to complete itself in yours. Quality of life is the quality of your emotions. And the quality of your emotions is the quality of what you focus on, and what you focus on is a decision. It always was, it always will be. So decide what today is about. Decide what this month is about. Decide what this whole chapter is about. Not for them, for you. Because you owe it to you. You owe it to the kid who kept going when there was no reason to keep going. You owe it to the version of you 5 years from now who's going to look back at this exact week and know that this was the week the pattern broke. Life happens for you, not to you. Even this. Especially this. And your job, quietly, calmly, without needing anyone else to witness it, is to figure it out. You'll figure it out.